Hi everybody, I'm Hayley.
And I'm Kayli.
And today we're reviewing Beau is Afraid.
Ooh, spooky. I was afraid.
I was not afraid.
Uncomfortable?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I think that's more what I was feeling too.
Beau was uncomfortable.
But as you can tell, our setup is a little bit different. Hopefully it works out well. We're trying something new. New year, new us.
Well, we're 4 months in,
But, you know, Aries season just started like last month. We're still a little behind. But, you know, it's
sure
whatever.
Taurus season is now.
Taurus season is now. But Aries season is like the new year for like the zodiac.
Oh, okay, so we're still on track.
Yeah, I think so. And then like your birthday's coming up. So it's like coming full circle. So
Wow, another year, another age.
another age.
It's not fun after a certain point.
But yes, we're also going to change up our format this time too. So we're not going to be going into like long spiels. We're just going to talk about the movie. So
Get into it.
Spoilers ahead.
Super spoilers. So please go watch the film. Or if you're like me and you don't care, keep watching.
And you don't care.
I literally don't care.
But this is by Aster, who made Hereditary and Midsummer. It's starring Joaquin Phoenix. And it's like categorized as like a nightmare comedy.
Yeah, it's a horror, comedy, drama, that thriller.
I don't think it was thrilling.
It was something.
It had some moments, but I don't even know if I would call it like a nightmare comedy. Like nothing to it was scary for me. I guess it had a nightmarish quality because like after a while, like after we, you know, an hour later, I was like, what did we watch for 3 hours?
I'm not sure. It was,
and that's the other thing. It was 3 hours.
It's like someone's greatest fears.
Yeah.
Back to back to back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And I was like, I could have done that all on my own.
So I guess we can get into it. Overall thoughts. You know what? We'll do a little brief synopsis. Beau is Afraid is about a man going to see his mother, and it's a lot of bad things.
He just can't.
After another. It's like a very chaotic film. It's like if anything could go wrong, it does. Isn't that Murphy's Law? Like,
yeah.
Now it's Beau's Law. But what'd you think of this movie?
I overall did not. I didn't like it. I'm sorry.
Oof.
I thought it drug on. I think I've said this before. 3-hour movies. I don't think I'm watching another 3-hour movie.
I don't think so.
Unless everybody gives it just crazy rave reviews.
Even then, I would wait till I get it on streaming.
Yes, so I can watch it at home. So I have the ability to get up or just turn it off. But there's rarely any film that needs to be 3 hours long. Rarely.
I'm trying to think of a film that
did it and I didn't notice it was 3 hours long. I don't think. Maybe Titanic.
I've never seen it, so I couldn't tell you.
That one at least kept me entertained. I mean, you still know it's long, but I feel like that one was probably okay. Maybe the first Avatar when it came out. I think if I watched it now, I'd be kind of bored. But when it came out, I was definitely. But other than that, I'm like, there's rarely a movie that needs to be 3 hours long, especially something like this. I'm so sorry. It drug and drug and drug and drug along.
We were dragged.
I was dragged.
I wish I was
drugged.
Maybe I would have had a better time.
Yeah. So
we went to the movies together, and this was like a movie theater that served alcohol, which I think was a problem because there was a couple next to us where she was talking the entire time like she was at fucking home. I'm like, girl,
on y'all's side, not on my side. Okay,
not right next to you.
I didn't hear her, so I'm sorry about that.
She was talking, and then like there was a moment where they're doing "Making My Way Downtown," and
was she the singer?
Yes, she kept singing after it stopped.
Along. Yeah, she kept singing the song even after it stopped in the movie, and we're like, bro, please shut up, shut up.
But then I realized that because she left and then came back with alcohol. And I was like, that's what it is. Okay. You're drinking and watching a movie in public. Don't do that.
Hold yourself. Get quiet. Be quiet drunk.
I felt like I was a nuisance because I brought snacks. So.
She had Funyuns, crunching up a storm.
I sure was.
And then y'all had that canteen you brought for water.
I did.
I was like, oh,
I had my big old water jug. I had Milk Duds. Yeah, I was set. I was not going to be paying. Sorry.
I just say some boo-boo ass mozzarella sticks.
They did look a little sad.
Sonic will never be defeated. The movie theaters will be defeated every time.
Always.
Anyway.
It's not worth it. So we were already kind of set up to
fail.
Yeah.
And then I realized I was going to be there for 3 hours, and it felt like 4.
It really did. We got there at 7:45. We didn't leave until 11.
11 something. It was after 11.
It was ridiculous.
I was like, this is not something I would do again. I don't think that I'm going to movie theaters for another 3-hour movie.
Because it's not just the 3 hours. It's the 30 minutes of previews.
Yes. The previews. You have to wait all through the previews. And then they go through remember, it's better to watch it in the theater. It's on the big screen. You got to watch the propaganda for Cinemark, and then you can start the fucking film. And then it's 3 hours from there. I'm like, oh God, I hate it here.
Not the propaganda.
I know, it is.
It really
we're streaming so much. They're like,
true.
nothing like a screen.
Stop watching on your little screen.
Little tiny baby ass TVs. Get to Cinemark. I'm like, this is why I don't want to hear. You paid I still owe you money. My bad.
Yeah, you did.
I paid $14. Kayli paid $14.
I did.
For a what?
That's the thing.
Waste my time.
Movie tickets are really expensive.
They're so expensive.
I went to go see Renfield, which is the Dracula Nicolas Cage moment that I loved and adored. But we went to go see it at Alamo Drafthouse, and that's already expensive. Mm-hmm. So I asked my dad if he wanted to go. It was $50 for 3 of us to get tickets. And then it was $50 for us to eat. I told my dad he had to buy his own food. I'm like, sorry,
You're
Dad.
like, sorry, this was like on me, but it's not on me.
I got you here.
Yeah.
If you want to eat, that's you.
That's another concern.
So, but that movie was only an hour and a half long, and it didn't feel like a dragging movie, which I feel like this movie dragged. It was
a drugged movie.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts? I mean,
I was talking to this with Tristan afterwards because I feel like I've been really disappointed lately with movies. I felt this way with Malignant, with James Wan, because he's known for The Conjuring. He's known for other movies that I've enjoyed, and then Malignant was different. And then with Jordan Peele, I liked Get Out and Us. Nope was a little bit different. And then with this movie, I liked Hereditary Midsommar. This was a little bit different. And so I don't know if it's me.
well,
it might be me, but I just feel like whenever you advertise a movie being like from the creator, from the mind of Hereditary and blah, 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 I'm expecting something. Mm-hmm. And this is not what I was expecting in a bad way. I feel like I might have been less disappointed if it wasn't 3 hours.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest gripe I have is that it felt 3 hours long, if not longer. In the middle of the movie, I was like, I don't want to check the time because I don't want to see how much longer I really have. But I was like, I think it's been like an hour, so only an hour and a half left to go. I was like, I shouldn't be thinking about it like this. Mm-hmm. I should be in the escapism mode or whatever. But I think Ari Aster does a great job of making people uncomfortable. Midsommar was uncomfortable. Hereditary is uncomfortable. But this one was uncomfortable, but in a way that I wasn't sure how I felt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like with Hereditary, it was uncomfortable in the way where like they were a grief-stricken family. Like their daughter just got decapitated by their son, and he didn't want to tell anybody. And it's like you go through that whole grief with them, which is powerful. But this one, it was like awkward comedy mixed with like this man's neurosis of like going to see his mom. And I was like, if this man don't get on the damn bus and call it a day.
It was uncomfortable, but in a way that I felt like it was trying really hard to make me uncomfortable.
Yes.
Like it was, because some things I'm uncomfortable and it's like a slow burn of uncomfortability. And I'm like, I'm unsettled. And then the whole movie.
Right.
It's like
unsettled.
Yes. I'm like, okay, I'm uncomfortable. But this movie, it was like, I'm uncomfortable and it's in your face uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like it's, look at all this shocking things I can put in one scene. And it was like, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, it's so obviously uncomfortable that now I'm almost not uncomfortable. I'm annoyed. Because I feel like I'm being forced to be uncomfortable. It's trying to be shocking. It's trying to make me feel something. It's trying to pull. It's trying to be funny, but it's horrific. And I was just like, it's doing too much. I'm now not in the movie experience because I feel like it's everything that I'm seeing to me was so obviously like to me trying to get you to feel something or to be shocking that I could not. I was like, I'm out of it. It's like when somebody tries too hard. Yeah. It's like it's not working because it didn't feel natural. Didn't feel like it was flowing. It just felt very abrupt and just again.
Which I think works in the nightmarish aspect. Yeah, because it is true. Abrupt. There's no linear storytelling. It's all very like jumbled up pieces put together into a movie, which I think is great. I think it's very creative. Not for 3 hours.
Not a good hour, 30 minutes. That's maybe 45.
Right. Like it doesn't have to be that long. And I saw this this review on Letterboxd. I'll put it up. But he was basically saying like some reviewer was like, if you get too lost in the creativity, you lose your vision.
I think so.
And so I think Ari was just really excited. Can I call you Ari? Aster, Mr. Aster. He was getting way too excited and he just wanted to do more and more and more. Yeah. And I think it just lost the plot because I was like, what am I even watching at this point?
Yeah, and not in a way that made me want to think about it. It was in a way that I was just over it. I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know. It's like, I think what they're trying to say is this. Yeah. I almost don't care enough to try to figure it out because at this point I just want to get out. Like, I just want it to be over. Yeah. I just wanted to see how it was going to end. and then we're gonna move on. I was very annoyed. I'll say that. And I don't think it was supposed to try to make me feel annoyed.
That's what I don't know how I'm supposed to be. What was its point?
I don't know. I saw a few different things because obviously the biggest point in the plot is he's trying to get back to his mother, who he thinks he's dead, because that's what's been reported.
Yeah.
So he can't get back to her because of outside circumstances. Also, a little bit of internal of himself because he doesn't stand up for himself. He's very passive. He doesn't allow for any room for him to make any decisions. So it's a little bit of both. So I guess one of it was just mommy trauma, mommy issues, you know, growing up with a parent that's made you their chosen one and you can't live up to it and they'll never let you live up to it and you just can't. And so that's one part I got out of it. But then another review that I saw, they were saying that it was more of him thinking worst case scenario. Like they're like, you know, when you think anything goes wrong. Mm-hmm. So they didn't really touch on the mommy issues, which was interesting. They were just like, oh, it's just him thinking like worst case scenario all the time.
Which I could understand from the first part.
Yes.
After he got hit by a car and woke up at the family's house. I think that whole first part to me spoke anxiety. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong for him. Yeah. Because I was like, there's no way this is real. Like, how did they? First of all those people came into that building because he left it open because he didn't get his keys. Went to his apartment only. And they knew it was his apartment. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm like, there's no way.
It was a little bit of like, oh, if I leave the door open, everybody's just gonna go in my apartment because it's unlocked.
Which I can relate to. Yeah. I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to like, did I lock the door? What if I didn't lock the door? What if it's wide open right now and everybody's in my house? All my cats are gone. Mm-hmm. So I can relate to that. Yeah. And I think the first part of it was entertaining and intriguing. I liked like the little weirdness of it in the beginning, but then it just kept going.
It wouldn't stop. It would not stop.
You just look so done.
I am. I was just like,
stop.
Again. After so much shock, it's no longer shocking.
Right.
So I think it was just too much. And I was like, okay, because his past movies are very much mental health related. So I was like, okay, this is clearly some kind of mental health because, you know, you have the main character who he seems like he already was a little shy to begin with and kind of a different personality, issues with his mom. And then we introduced the second family and it seems like they have issues because they lost their son. So it just seemed like it was like
a lot of issues
going on. I wasn't sure which one. Are we going for a specific issue? Are we not? Is it just family dynamic? Because in the second family, I really thought they were going to go somewhere because the daughter, you could see her under, like the pills were everywhere. It was also like mental health and pills and she was taking pills. Everybody's taking pills. Yep. And then they have the daughter who was upset because her brother who passed away in the war, she's being overshadowed by his memory because, you know, his room is kept pristine. The family kind of ignores her. They're adopting other people, or the main character, they kind of adopt him and take care of him as like their son. Yeah. So she was going through that and then ends up drinking paint and doesn't make it because she was so upset about everything.
And she's drinking the blue paint,
which is important.
Which is representative usually of boys because she had pink paint for girls, blue paint for boys, and it's all about men kind of.
So she died.
Yeah, because also Beau, like he seems responsible for this death of a woman, and then when he has sex for the first time, he's responsible for that death of that woman. And who's the main person that he's responsible for dying? His mom. That's the whole point. He didn't want to come home, so she died.
But he kept killing all these other women in the process.
That's all he does. Men
are trash. But yeah, so I guess I just wasn't sure where we were going because then the family, once we're done with the family, we're pretty much done with them.
And that was it.
That was it. There was really nothing. It just, that was the thing.
Except for the PTSD riddled dude who came chasing after him.
Who came after him because then there was that aspect of it. Right. Another kind of mental health thing. So it was definitely underlying. So I guess I wasn't sure, is this like focusing on mental health? Is this, I guess it was all the above. It just was a lot of mental health
issues in one. Right.
You know, his anxiety.
Because we have like his anxiety, the other people's traumas, and then we have medication, which is just, you know, prescribed and not really getting to the root issue. So
and family dynamic. That's like, it was a lot. So
repressed memories.
Yeah. So it was just, to me, it was very obvious in your face a little bit. And I think I was kind of not a super fan of that just because I was like, okay, here we go again. Here we go. Okay, there it is again. Okay, there's more again. It was just very, movies where everything just goes wrong. I think for me, they're not my favorite because it's just so, it's not interesting to me. I'm like, okay, well, I know it's not going to go right. So what crazy kooky thing are they going to cook up next?
Right. It's giving very much, was it National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Yes.
Where like literally everything is wrong.
Version,
right, exactly.
Just on drugs. Literally.
Yeah.
So I guess Like, I want to appreciate it. I think it was well acted. I think that it wasn't a bad movie. I don't want to say that. But I don't know. It's not something I'd recommend. It's not something I watch.
Right,
again.
that's exactly it. I don't think I would recommend this to anybody who wasn't an Ari Aster fan. Because I feel like I wouldn't recommend this to my parents at all.
It just wasn't.
I wouldn't recommend it to any of my friends.
It's weird. This is one of those weird movies you're like, okay.
It was an experience.
It was an experience. And maybe that was the goal.
That's all that it really was, I think.
Maybe that was the goal.
But I did see a lot of people like on reviews. They were talking about how they were going to go see the director's cut of Midsummer at Alamo Drafthouse. And then Ari Aster was like, psych, you're going to watch Beau is Afraid first because, you know, this came out.
First?
Yeah.
I'm leaving. 3 hours later, I have to watch another one?
Not first, but like you're the first people to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, not him going, but first. I said, sir, I have
not a double
certain,
feature.
Yes. I have a certain time block. I can't be here for 6 hours.
Right. So I think a lot of people were very excited about that because they were pranked in a cool way where they were the first ones to see Beau is Afraid. And so like, I don't know if that excitement has run through the reviews, but I'm like, is there something wrong with me that I don't like this movie?
I don't think so. I don't.
Because you didn't like it. Tristan didn't like it. And
I don't know, but we're negatives.
The people next to us were like, I don't know.
Like, I just don't want to think about it. And so I don't know. And maybe that's the way it was supposed to make you feel.
It's
sometimes they're just trying to
right.
invoke feelings. I just don't think I was confused.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was just like, okay.
I was over it.
I was over it. It was way too long. I don't know. Maybe my attention span is literally nothing.
I don't think it has anything to do with that. I really think it's just like, because we did so much for no like payoff.
I don't know. Like
that's the thing. There was even the reveal that the mom wasn't really dead. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Literally at that point,
this to be over.
I didn't care. She's like, it was supposed to be some surprise twist, and I was like, okay.
But even Beau wasn't surprised. He's like, yeah, I knew it wasn't you. I'm like,
maybe that was the point. They're like, you've been so exhausted by the twists and turns of nothing. I was like, at this point,
just nothing.
And then the whole play scene where he went in the forest. I don't even know what that
much.
was. I was like, what is going on?
It was too much.
And then the whole play, there was a whole 15-minute video about him inserting himself in the play. We have to go through that. And then at the end, he seemed to come through some kind of epiphany because he gave the pregnant lady next to him what he was going to give to his mom. So I was like, oh, he's letting go of something. What? I don't know what journey he went on. What did he do?
I don't know. Can you even say like he repaired the relationship with his sons that, you know,
don't exist? I don't even.
Right. Because like he had, you know, his relationship with his mom is a whole issue. Obviously, I think there's like a balance between being guilty and having some kind of blame for the relationship being the way it is. Was he trying to repair his relationship with his mom that he can no longer repair because she's dead with his fictitious children because he was a dad that he didn't get? Maybe. But then like he barely even saw those kids. He was stranded from his family like forever. Yeah,
it wasn't very strong in the relationship, but I saw something where it said that was supposed to be like an Odyssey, like the Odyssey, or you know, like when the hero goes on a journey,
bro.
But they were saying
leave the Odyssey, leave Homer alone, leave the Iliad back in fucking
because I
high
guess
school.
The mother, her name's like Penelope or something, or something that's like in the name of one of the books. So I guess it was him trying to insert himself as like a hero and go through like a cool journey and just have like a purpose, I guess. I mean,
but even then, like his whole thing was that he had to confess his sins. So like that's when he was able to get back to his family is by confessing his sins. And that's what I guess they were trying to do at the end too.
I guess.
But he didn't.
No.
So it was like he went through that journey for nothing really because he didn't learn from it because he still was like, Mom, help me. I didn't know. They pressured me. I didn't know what was going on. I'm lost, which I understand. Like, I understand why the mom's frustrated. She's like, you don't make any decisions. So that way, like, you're never the bad guy. You're always a victim. But really, you're making everybody else do the work for you, which is valid. He seems like a piece of shit. But whose fault is it really?
Well, yeah, because it's like if you look at her, when she grew up, she literally told him that if he climaxes during sexual activities, he's going to die. So it started with her controlling him every aspect of his life a little bit and just being all about him. So then when it's time for him to grow up and make decisions, he couldn't do it. He was dependent on her, but also didn't want to be around her. Yeah. Like he said when he was younger, he wanted to do things independent of her, but she would kind of shut it down and be disappointed.
She didn't like to see the change. Yeah,
exactly. So it's kind of like the product that she created because she was so dependent on him for love and for affection and for validation and didn't want him to be with any other woman, which is why she told him to lie about how he was going to die if he had sex, basically. Yep. And then at the end, when he was not quite the man she wanted him to be, she wondered
why. Yeah. She's confused.
And she's
like the Pikachu face meme. Oh, you're not the guy I wanted you to be?
No.
It's like,
No. And maybe that's, I was talking to y'all about it last night, but just like the whole boy mom thing, I feel like that's like a new term of moms of boys, specifically boys. It's like they make them their new husbands, especially if the dad's not around. So in this case, the dad, we're not really sure what happens to him. He might be the giant penis in the attic. I don't know. We'll get into that. But, you know, he's just, for whatever reason, he's not there. And she's lying about it. She's not really telling the full truth. And she makes, it's almost like when they make him the quote man of the house. Right. So they try to get a girlfriend or they try to move on. They try to be independent. And it's like, they don't want them to do that because they're almost like this weird, almost like not incestuous relationship, but a like borderline or whatever you want to call that, of them trying to make them their partner in life. Right.
They're the loves of their lives.
It's the love of their life. And then when they're not doing what they want them to do or blah, 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 blah.
Then they're pissed.
So I think it was definitely a little bit of a take on that, like the overbearing mother. Right. And then she went so far as to fake her death just to prove or just to test him, which is wild. And then we find out that his entire life is seemingly constructed by her, where he lives. Yeah. The food he eats. The therapist, everybody the therapist there. She hired, like everybody you find out in his life has been hired by her. And it seems like she was making his life so horrible just so he would come back home.
And he still refused.
Just wouldn't do it. He made every excuse not to come see her. Yeah. Every time he had to come see her, get on and do this or do that.
He didn't want to. Yeah. They did everything they could. They made him so scared to like do anything, but he still refused. They're like, there's brown recluses in your home. He said, well, that's crazy, but I'll sleep nicely tonight.
Spiders in his home.
And then he was trying to drink the water for his pill because it's like, if you don't drink your water with this, you're going to die. He's like, oh shit. Then they turn off his water, forcing him to go out after he already lost his keys. Yep. So it's just, which I think is a good metaphor for maybe like a therapy session. Maybe he is really unpacking the relationship that he has with his mom. And I feel like there's a part where you want to blame everything on your mom because there's no fucking way that she owns everybody in his whole life.
Like maybe it's a little bit of his warped sense of reality.
Exactly. This is the reason why I'm the way I am is because of my mom. So it's like a big metaphor for blaming that. But then he also feels guilty. The first thing that his therapist like writes down, the only thing he writes down is not guilt. It's guilty. Yeah. As in a court of law. You're guilty.
You are guilty. Yeah.
So like, I think he is struggling with taking responsibility for the relationship he has with his mom. Because at some point it is really just your mom kind of fucked you up because she has a warped sense of what a son should be to her.
And then we find out maybe he has a twin.
Because, does he have a twin?
Well, people were saying, she says, there's your father, but never confirms if it's the giant
dick, right?
Dick, or if it's the old man. Beau. They say it's either the twin or that's the dad, or we don't know.
Or it's nothing.
I don't know. So I think overall, like, it's very thought provoking. I think it does bring up like maybe some good points. I just think it was one way too long. Like, honestly, that whole camp scene could have been cut from the movie, and I don't know if it would have changed anything.
It doesn't change
it doesn't anything. He could have went straight from the first people's house where he got like kidnapped, and then I don't know, I was just like, it just seemed like a lot of stuff just was unnecessary because make this point or whatever points were trying to be made.
I was thinking, like, how did he even get to his mom's house? But he literally hitchhiked. Didn't talk to the hitchhiker person.
So maybe they were saying it was that easy. All he had to do was just go and hitchhike. Yeah. All he had to do was just figure it out. And
so we could have literally gone from him running away to hitchhiking.
Literally. But we had to stop a whole side scene. And I was just like, oh, no, we're going to have another scene.
Yeah. So I wonder also, do you think Beau died? Did he die at the end?
Yeah, I guess so.
Was he already dead?
I don't know, because he does flip over in the boat, and we assume he drowns, and his mom and everybody else packs up and leaves. They go, that was fun.
Which I think was also a smart way to end the film.
With people leaving like us.
With people leaving like we were.
I think that was clever.
I think so, too. And it's like, we were also, they were watching him beg for his life. We were watching him beg for his life.
We were a part of the arena.
Exactly. So I think that was really smart, which is why I can appreciate where Ari's coming from, Mr. Aster, if you will. But it didn't make up for the fact that I sat there for so long. No. No. So I'm wondering, like, also, like, did he die? Was he already dead? Because, like, when he's at the home where he's kidnapped, she's like, go to channel 78, and he fast forwards, and you fast forward through the rest of the movie. You see him on a boat. You see, like, a big, like, arena type thing at the very end. So is this, the camera's dying. So did it already happen? Is this just a cycle he's stuck in? Is he already dead? Is this just fate being sealed? Or was it just all in his mind?
Yeah, just a metaphor for his life. and he finally just gave in to the fact that he just is guilty and he'll just live like that. But is he now free?
I don't know, because he seemed to be resigned at the end when he was drowning.
Yeah,
he's
he
like,
did
well,
seem like he was like,
I tried.
Yeah.
And I'm done. Which is like, me too.
Yeah.
I don't even know what else to say at this point.
I think we said enough. I mean, I would go into more details, but I truly don't know what to say about those details.
Right.
And maybe this was his intention. Maybe I'm not supposed to like it. What were the reviews?
The reviews are very, very positive. I don't know about Rotten Tomatoes, but we should look those up. IMDb, 7.4 out of 10 for IMDb.
That's high.
69% from the critics, 71% from the audience. That's the score from Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty fucking high.
That's higher, but I mean,
if Aster had simply chopped out the second of the film's 3 hours, it might have been more coherent.
You said chop off a what?
The second of the 3 hours.
Second of the 3 hours?
So I'm thinking it's probably like the play
scene.
and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm not the only one who thought that was just, I'm just not sure it's necessary.
Mm-hmm. If you like mind-bending films that have unanswered questions at the end, middle, and beginning, then you won't be scared of Beau is Afraid.
Oh.
The director's latest Beau is Afraid has inspired just as much awe as outright anger. With stomach-churning sequences aside, you gotta respect. Actually, I don't have to respect. But this is the thing, too. It's like, I didn't get anything horror out of this.
It wasn't horror. It was just like psychological horror, psychological whatever, but it wasn't, to me, scary. I was just like, okay.
Yeah, it was
weird.
I'm kind of excited to see like Evil Dead Rise. That looks like a horror film to me.
Like you're scared.
Right.
Like,
There's Insidious coming out.
Yeah.
There's also, what's the other one? Talk to Me. Mm-hmm. Like those are like classic. Like when I think of horror, I think of stuff like that.
Yeah, this was not horror.
No.
I mean, unless, the
Even
horror
Hereditary was
anxieties,
horror.
okay, but
I deal with those on a daily basis.
Anymore.
Maybe that's why we weren't scared. It was just,
it's just look,
seems about right.
Life.
Right. And we also did watch Beau, which is the short that he came out with in 2011, which is basically the same synopsis. Yeah. It's a man trying to go see his mom and his keys get stolen out of the door. Also, I'm kind of tired of people saying the F slur in shorts and movies. It's 2023. Why are we still saying this?
I don't know. Was it for shock value again?
It's just because it happened in Barbarian. They said it casually. It's like, we're no longer in the early 2000s. Like, that's when everybody was saying the F word.
I feel like they always try to use it when they're like, this person is bad.
Trash, right?
Yeah, and it's like this, but it's like an easy word to just use and be like bad.
Right.
It is a little unsettling. I'm like, that was harsh.
For no reason. It's like, why are we still doing this?
She didn't say other things, because that's the thing. It's like the shock value thing. I'm like, you can have characters say things without even using cuss words.
Right.
For me to get the message that they're not good, or, whatever it is that you're trying to get.
You don't even have to do words, just do actions.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, sometimes, so when it's just like shock value writing for not the lyrics, the script like that, sometimes I'm like, kind of not weak, but I'm like, I feel like you just didn't need to do that.
It was weird, and it seemed out of place.
Unless
why
the character in question, like, it makes sense for the characters to be saying that. Not saying that like you're permitted to say it, but I'm like, you know what I mean? Like if it was like a homophobic person,
right,
and that literally is their character and they're using that word, then I'd be like, okay, at least it makes sense for the character,
right?
But yeah, it's like just a random character and they just scream it randomly. And I'm like, is that even, I don't even think that's a word people really use anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't even hear it in my everyday.
No, and I'm sure people do, but I'm just saying, like, it just seems like if you're going to pick a word that's like, oh,
right, that
people are actually like using it. I mean, it's very like 2002.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like we're in 2002. So
we're 20 years past that, ladies.
Yeah. Well, even in the movie, they had a timeline and it went all the way up to 2020.
Yeah.
So I just feel like that's not even really used as a word that's used like that anymore. It just seems out of place and necessary.
Right. It's weird. I don't really get it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So he also used it in the short film too, which we watched earlier. So it's just like, why are we even saying this? Like, it's so bizarre. But I think the short film, the short film was fine. It was weird. It was bizarre. I didn't know what was really going on. He was just having anxiety about what? Not sure. So, and like you could see the callbacks to Beau and Beau is Afraid, because he also gets his luggage stolen, his key stolen, and someone's like, you're fucked, which is basically what happened in the short. So I think it was cool to see the short because you got to see what his initial idea was or where this came from. But I think it should have stayed a short, in my opinion. Because what did we get that we didn't get from Beau? You know what I mean? What did we get from Beau is Afraid that we didn't get from Beau? Absolutely nothing.
I actually didn't mind the short film. It was kind of intriguing. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
It was
quick,
weird.
to the point.
Right.
I really want to implore these filmmakers. I'm like, make it as concise as possible, because I'm tired of just fluff. What seems like fluff. Maybe there was really a reason for that whole campsite. I'm sure they put a lot of effort into it, but I'm just like,
a lot, and that's what's crazy. Like, there's a lot of effort and time that y'all spent on this for me to be like, can we fast forward? And that's what you don't really want from your audience. No. You don't want them to be like, we wish we could fast forward.
So. Not for 3 hours.
But also, there's this other movie I try to watch. It was called Skinamarink. And I heard a lot of people on TikTok talk about it. They're like, this shit is so scary, blah, blah, blah. I put that shit on. I was disgusted because you don't see anybody's face. You see feet, and it's like awkward angles of like the house. So it'd like be like a top corner of like this room. It'll be like a doorway. It'll be this and this and this. That's the whole fucking movie for an hour and a half. And it was basically like these kids wake up, they can't find their dad, and they can't get out of the house. They can't call anybody, nothing. And so you're just sitting there watching that. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I started fast forwarding, and it was still the same shit.
Yeah, it's just,
I was like, okay, let's calm down. But then I looked into it a little bit more. There was a short that was just like this that people really liked. And the guy, he was from YouTube. He would ask people what their nightmares were like, and then he would make stuff based off their nightmares. And then he was able to get a full budget feature for Skinamarink, which I think is a beautiful journey. It's great. Not for me, though.
Yeah.
Not for me.
It's like, I don't think everything needs to be a full feature length film. No. I think the short films are underappreciated. Short films to me are always seen as like, when you're starting out. Like, a lot of short films are people who have lower budgets and just have an idea, but they can't really do a full production movie. But I really hate that, because I feel like short films have such a place in society, in film industry, because it's like something like that, where maybe you don't need a full hour and a half of kids stuck in the house, because at some point they're stuck in the house. Yep. There's no more message beyond that. Yep. And there's nothing that you're adding within that story that progresses anything. It's just more ways for them to be stuck in the house. Yep. And I think that's what film does sometimes, is they keep trying to extend the same thing over and over and over again. I'm like, we got that message. Let's move on. Like, either they're stuck in the house and now we're going to try to get out, or they're going to be stuck forever, and then we're just going to, we end it, because there's nowhere we're going with that. Right. So I think that's,
because I think you get the same exact, from what I understood from the short, you got that feeling and that meaning already, that you didn't really need more of it. But I mean, like, I want to support people, obviously, in their film goals and dreams, but like, can we do something different? Do we really need an hour and a half of me just looking at angles of walls? Not even people. I heard their voices. That's what
and you're just like,
I'll have to show you what it looks like, because I was like, bro, this is it. It sucks. I don't know how I feel about Aster anymore. It's like, I don't know how to go into movies anymore. Do I feel excited because I'm like, oh, this is a director that I like? Do I feel any kind of excitement anymore if I don't want to be disappointed? I just don't know how to go into these films anymore.
I don't know either. And sometimes I feel like some of these movies, they're trying so hard to push like a message or make it shock value or do this or that. And I feel like it just takes me out the film. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, sometimes simpler is better. More simple is better. Because I felt like this film was like a bunch of random stuff, and they're trying to be like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And I was talking to you guys about it last night, but I was like, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once did a really good job of this type of movie, of just a bunch of random scenes and things are crazy and it's all over the place. You don't know what's going on. And I think that movie did a way better job, because it just fit in the film. It didn't feel like, I didn't feel like it was dragging. I felt like I was along for the ride. But in this film, it felt like they were trying to do that with like a bunch of bam, bam, bam. Oh, it's just this and that. And oh, it gets crazy. Because I feel like, and it's the same company that did them. So I don't know if they're trying to like pull in some inspiration from that movie. But I was like, I feel like that movie, well, number one, it was about different universes. So it made sense why everything was running amok. And because it, it was a little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of, family relationships. Like, it was all in one. It was really cool. But this one, there's no real reason for the super random stuff all the time.
I guess like the only thing is like, it's his anxiety. It's his nightmare.
It's his sporadic mind everywhere. Right. I just
don't mind them. Okay, yes. Those are my children crying.
Yes, it's fine. They're watching the room. It's fine. But yeah, I just feel like they didn't. To me, I'm like, I get it's his mind, but they
didn't come together.
It wasn't meshing, that his anxiety. Like, I got anxiety, but I think that was after I really thought about it and I had to kind of research, and it was like, okay, what was going on? And so I think it took me a minute because for the longest time, like the way that the character acts, I thought he might have something just different about his personality or the way that he is, because he is very passive, he's very quiet. So I didn't know if he had, like, even when he was younger, that's how he was. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know if he has something like mentally or just something else is like going on. Then it's like, then they were pushing, it was like, no, it's just anxiety and this and that. I was like, oh, okay, because I guess it makes sense if he has anxiety, or because then his mom was mad because he's very passive about everything. But I was like, is that his fault or is that his brain? You know what I mean? Like, is that just kind of who he is personality wise? And that's just something that, you know, you just have to kind of cope with and learn with. So that's why I think I didn't really fully get the anxiety thing, because I truly thought that I wasn't getting like his personality was because of anxiety. I was getting, there might be anxiety maybe in there, but I don't know. It wasn't connecting for me. So it made sense when I was like, oh, maybe this is a bunch of his biggest fears, you know, like worst case scenarios. Cause I think we all do that, but I guess I wasn't getting that. I don't know. Just wasn't really meshing for me.
And what's weird is, like, we spent 3 hours with this man. I couldn't tell you anything about him.
No. I mean, I guess we know a lot. She has mommy issues. You know his dad.
That's it. We don't know anything about him.
He doesn't really have a personality.
There's nothing.
Just there.
It was just, he was along with us for the ride, being just as lost and confused as we were. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It just didn't pay off. Like, I think Everything Everywhere All at Once did.
Yeah.
Because even though it was like random, it had crude humor. It was funny. It was awkward. It all made sense. It all had a good payoff at the end, where I was like, that was okay for me to sit through this roller coaster of a whole bunch of nonsense, because like we're going through different universes. We're being a little silly, a little goofy, but a little sad too. A little bit more about family as well. Yeah. I think I don't know if it just like was the magic sauce of that one that worked out more, because this one just felt so chaotic and jumbled that I was like, Ari, someone needed to tell you to edit down, because we didn't need all of it. Yeah, and I don't think every film has to end happy or have to have like a rounded ending. That's true. But I do. It felt like I knew that's where we were going, and that's where we went. I was like, okay, this is going to be those mind-boggling films that's shocking, crazy, trying to be funny, trying to be artsy, trying to be different, and it's going to end in some really crazy, you know, dramatic way, and we're going to be left like, and that's what happened. Yeah. That's why I think I don't want to know how the film's going to end. I don't want to feel like we're going in a certain direction. So if it wraps it up great and I feel good about it, I'm like, yes. But if it kind of ends in a way that I was like, okay, yeah, I wasn't really sure where we're going with that, but I appreciate the ending, even if it was negative, like we're learning something or something just didn't work out. Right. But for this film, I was like, I know where we're going. I know what kind of film this is. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I'm really not entertained. This is boring. It was boring. For so much stuff that was in there, I found it boring. I think that's just, for me, it was a disconnect. And then when it ended the way it did, I was like, oh no, he drowned. The scene at the end was cool when everybody was packing up, but I was just like, I feel like they want me to feel like, oh my gosh. And I just couldn't do it. I was like, the movie didn't make me feel like I wanted to care for anything that was going on. Nothing at all. I didn't care for the main character. Didn't care for his mom. I think the only character I might have felt a little bit for was the pregnant lady. She was nice and she dipped. And that was it. And maybe the people she said they started shooting. She was gone.
But that's the thing. I'm like, I don't know. Was I supposed to feel anything for any of these characters? I mean, I felt bad for him in the beginning, but only because they were putting him in set. Like, but it was so forced that I was like, I kind of don't care. Yep. And to your point, we don't know him. We don't know his character. We don't know anything about him. So there's a character that I don't know anything about. He doesn't really have too much of an opinion. He doesn't really have too many thoughts. And I don't really care for his character. And I don't care to even know what happened. Like, I just didn't care.
Which I guess that might be the whole point.
And it might be the point. I was like, I know sometimes that's the whole point, is to make you feel something. So maybe our strong opinions about the fact that it was just not the way that we wanted it to go, maybe that's what they wanted it to be. So kudos to that. But I don't think it's something I'd recommend. I don't think it's something that I'd watch again. So
that part.
That's
the tea.
That's it.
So rating time. Hayley, what do you give it out of 5?
Out of 5, I get it 2.
Okay, that's not bad. A little below average.
Yeah, a little below average. I'm not going to give it a 1. I do say I think it was well acted. I think that it was well shot. I think that it was not a bad film, like just horribly done. I don't think that at all. So I can't give it like a 1 or a 0. I'm not going to do that. So I give it a 2 because it did match criteria for being a film of thought, a film of intention. Right. And I'm not going to say that it was a bad movie at all. But I just can't give it anything higher than that because I didn't enjoy the ride. I thought it was boring. I was checking the time constantly.
You really were.
I was checking the time. 10 minutes passed. I thought it was going to be like 40. No, we'd only moved 3 minutes. Yeah. I was like, it was dragging. So that's my overall thoughts. But at least on the flip side, I do appreciate the thought-provoking conversations. At least we had enough to talk about here. I mean, it's not like it wasn't full of content. Like it had a lot of stuff going on.
That is true.
So I will say that it was well done. I think it does bring a lot of points up in discussions, but I think that's just kind of where it ends.
What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene, I think when the mom just revealed herself. I think that was the only slightly interesting part of where I was like, oh, maybe there's a twist. It wasn't really a twist. It was just like, okay. Or when when he was at home and the mom of the family that took him in, she was kind of like, you could tell there was something more sinister going on. Yeah. I think those were the only interesting points because I thought that we were going to go somewhere with some kind of plot. And we didn't really. What about you?
Score are my favorite scenes.
Score, and then you go to your favorite scenes.
Score.
Ooh,
you were talking about, I'm not going to give it a 1 star, but I think I might. Wow. It's just, it wasn't for me. And I think that's fine. My personal rating isn't about how good of a film it was. I think it had really cool scenes. I like the way that we were going through time with him and he was very disoriented, very confused. I think they had really cool shots. Obviously, the chaotic shots were shot very well because it just produced chaos.
Yeah.
But it wasn't for me. I would never recommend this movie to anybody. I don't even think, like... I would say I was an Ari Aster fan with the first 2 films, but now I'm like, if someone would tell me to go watch this, I'll be like, bitch, why'd you tell me this? Why would you do that to me? I will wait till this comes out on streaming because there's no way that you need to sit in the theater for 3 hours plus. But it just wasn't for me, and I'm very disappointed, and I'm trying to go into movies without having any expectations. But it's really hard for me. I still get my feelings hurt. I'm a sensitive person, and I felt very hurt and personally attacked, which is why it's a 1.
Okay.
I didn't feel that hurt, but
I know
it was just
a little disappointing.
It's just disappointing because I'm like, I'm wanting to enjoy movies again. I feel like I'm just not there. So, except for Nicolas Cage movies, I've been watching those and those have been really great so far. So, favorite scenes, I do think I liked the penis scene because it was just outrageous, and I liked how it kind of reminded me of Elf whenever he was like, "Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad." He's like, "Thanks, Mr. Norrell." I liked that part, and I also really liked the first part of it where it was just a lot of chaos when he was like going around and there's dead bodies on the street. Nobody gave a shit, and he was like trying to get water, and they're all coming to his building. It was very interesting and intriguing, but that was about it for me.
Yeah.
I think we could have cut out the whole middle, had the beginning, and then he showed up at his mom's house, and that would have been great for me.
Yeah, I think that,
maybe a little sprinkle of it in the middle, but not that much.
No.
But yeah, if you like things that
are
uncomfy, that might be a little too long, not very good, you might be like, cut out half of this, and it might be better.
But well acted.
It should start short and stay short. That's what it is. Then you'll love our Instagram at Hayley and Kayli. We also have a TikTok at Press Podcast. And we also have a website at Press Podcast as well, where you can find some content. What else do we have?
We have a YouTube channel at Press Podcast. Nope.
At Hayley and
Kayli. Ignore me. I don't even know what's going on. You can watch this video as long as our other podcast videos on there, and a couple of extra little fun things that we do, trying videos, all that kind of stuff. You can see that there.
Email.
We got an email, presspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about this film, any films we should watch. Really just anything.
Also,
anything.
I took a screenshot of this review because I thought it was kind of funny.
For this movie.
Oh, dang it. That's not it. Damn it. I forgot about it. But basically somebody when it ended, they're like, nobody fucking clapped. This was awful.
I mean, as long as we're not the only ones.
I was like, okay, cool. But, yeah, let us know what you thought about this movie down below. I'm really curious because sometimes I feel like I might just be watching things wrong. And I want to know, maybe you like this movie because for the reasons that we don't like it. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. I mean, it is opinion. So if you did like it, why did you like it? Do you feel like it was a different interpretation? Do you feel like it spoke to you? You like the chaos?
Are you an Ari Aster fan? Did you like his other 2 films?
I like Hereditary.
Hereditary was good.
I never saw Midsommar, but Hereditary was great. So I don't, obviously he's skilled. We're not going to do that, but maybe just not one of our, I mean, there's going to be films we just don't.
There's going to be flops for us.
There's going to be, you know.
Ooh,
we're cute.
I think so. But I don't know what we're talking about next time, but stay tuned and we'll figure that out too.
Yep.
Until next time.
Stay pressed. His way of fantasizing about him being something greater, going on this journey, being like a hero, and it stopped. Golly. But I know it was saying that he was trying to.
Hold on.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay. He was trying to say or try to insert himself as a he. That's me loud as hell. Go ahead, finish. Fucking canteen.
That's what they heard in the movie theater.
Literally, you go clong, you gotta put it back, and I was like,
there we go.
Okay.
I'm ready.
We done? Okay.